Good morning, first grade. I hope you're having a great day so far. Today, we have another deep dive, and we're going to be talking about something that we've talked about in the past, which is shades of meaning. So, taking a look at some vocabulary words and talking about other words that have similar meanings, but have kind of shades of different meanings within kind of a similar idea. So let's take a look at the word that we're going to talk about today. All right, so the word observe. Do you remember earlier in the week when we learned a little bit more about the word observe? And we saw examples of Jane Goodall, in our text, Me, Jane, observing the animals, right? If you remember, when she was younger, she would observe the animals and she took all the notes and the different, writings that she did on that one page. And she would, observe the animals outside. And then she was really curious about how eggs were laid. So she went and observed in a chicken coop to see how an egg was laid. And it was something that she observed. And so, using those examples and the outside in vocabulary strategy, if you remember, we figured out that the word observe means to study something closely, to really study something closely. And it often has to do with someone being curious about something or someone being interested in something and wanting to learn more about that. And then what they do is they observe whatever it is that they are interested in. So that's usually part of, making an observation or observing something. You do it because you're interested in it. All right. So there are other words that, can have a similar meaning to observe, right? When I think about observe, I think, well, it's looking at something. So the word look comes to mind as another word that has a similar meaning. But when I think of the word look, I don't think of quite a close study or quite a close kind of, yeah, study as when I hear the word observe. That to me is a little bit stronger of a word. I could just, look over to the other side of the room or just take a quick look outside the window. And that's not the same as really carefully studying something, really carefully looking at something during an observation, right? Observation makes me think of scientists, studying something with a magnifying glass or, sorry about that, a magnifying glass or under a microscope, right? So, can we think of some other words that have a similar meaning to observe, look? I was thinking watch, right? We might watch something by looking at it and watching something. I also think about the word discover. Not sure if you think about that too, but we've been using that word quite a bit when we talk about our essential questions and our content framing questions, our pizza questions at the beginning of our lessons. What can we discover? That makes me think of kind of looking at something and trying to find out something new. I also think of the word examine, and that to me is, has a stronger meaning, like the word observe. Examine and observe to me are more similar than observe and look. I also think of the word study. The word study. And what about see? Just to see something, right? I might see a car passing by, or I, saw something on the television quickly. So here are some other words, just like when we talked about move and we had, scurrying, racing, flitting, those all meant movement. And these all have to do with looking at something, observing something, but they all have kind of varying levels of meaning. Just like the example we talked about as of, you could be sleepy, you could be tired, you could be exhausted. And exhausted is the strongest out of those words. That really, tells the person that you're talking to or tells the reader that you are more than just tired. You are so extremely tired, that you can't do anything. You're so tired. So that's the same thing with these words. Again, there are varying levels of meaning, those shades of meaning, as we say. So what we'd like you to do is, using these 6 words, put these words in order, starting with the words that you think are closest to the word observe, and then kind of working your way down. So let's hop over to seesaw and I'll show you what I mean. Okay, here we are. So when you are finished with this learning video and you tap add, you will come to this page, and it should look familiar because it is very much like the move shades of meaning that we did not too long ago. And what you can do is take your move tool, take your move tool and move the words in order, in the order that you think they best belong. Starting with the word here that would be the closest, in your opinion, to the word observe, and then working your way down where the word in this spot would be the furthest away from the word observe, in those kind of levels of meaning, those shades of meaning. Okay, so when you're finished and you have them in the spot that you would like them, you can tap the check to submit, and we look forward to seeing the order of your words. And again, everyone's might be slightly different, and that's okay. It's more, important that we're just understanding that there are words that can mean, have similar meanings, but when we are speaking or we are writing, we want to learn these different words so that we're able to use the word that can best clearly communicate what it is we're trying to say, right? If I say, someone was observing something, or if I said someone was looking at something, those 2 words bring up very different pictures in my mind, and I would imagine that they bring up different pictures in your mind, the difference between observe and look. All right, so again, there's not one right way to order these words. As long as you can explain your thinking, that's the most important thing. And again, just realizing that this, learning these words and using these words can help us better communicate more clearly exactly what it is we're trying to say. All right, so let us know if you need any help or have any questions, and see everybody soon.